Welcome to the Moon Manifesting Podcast with Kyra Howearth. Hi, I'm Kyra, business astrologer, moon manifesting mama, author, teacher, and mentor. I teach you how to harness the energy of the moon, stars, and cosmos so you can manifest your dreams and discover a deeper purpose to your life. Welcome to the Moon Manifesting Podcast. It's Kyra here today, and in today's episode I'm going to be sharing with you exactly what I do on the new moons to manifest with that energy. So in this episode in particular, we are going to be diving into the new moon in Pisces for 2023, which is occurring on the 20th of February, 2023. But you can use this method for any new moon. So if you're listening to this and you're sometime in the future, keep listening, because what I'm going to be sharing, you can apply this to any new moon. So let's dive in and begin manifesting with this new moon energy. All right, so as I said, we're working with the new moon in Pisces energy in 2023. So the new moon in Pisces is exact on the 20th of February, and that's at 6:05 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. If you're in America, that's around 2:05 a.m. New York time. Or if you're in the UK, that's at 7:05 a.m. GMT. So you can convert times if you're elsewhere in the world, or a quick Google will help you. So what I'm going to be walking you through is exactly the exact steps that I take when doing a new moon manifestation ritual. And I do this every single new moon because I find it's just been so helpful since I started this process many years ago now, and I've kind of fine-tuned this process to allow me to really understand the astrological energy that's coming up with each new moon, so I can work with that energy. And for me, that's what it's about. It's about working with the astrological energy, the lunar energy, whatever energy it may be, so that you're not kind of working against the universe, you're not going against that natural flow of energy. When you work with the energy, you can create more flow and ease into what you want to manifest in your life. So with a new moon, I find that it's important to know the exact time of the new moon, because when you're working with that new moon energy before that time, you're still working with the waning moon energy, with the dark moon energy, which is all about banishing and releasing. So it's probably a better idea to, if you're setting intentions and goals with the new moon, to work with that energy just after the new moon has become exact. So those times I said before, like 6:05 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. So I would be doing a new moon ritual after that time, or maybe if I'm if I'm around and available, then I'll do it maybe at that exact time for a bit of extra magic. But generally speaking, if you're working with the new moon energy to manifest something, to bring something into your life, then you want to be working with that energy just after it's gone exact. So it's with that waxing energy. When the energy is starting to grow, the new moon cycle has begun, and the moon is starting very slowly to wax and to grow in the sky. So you're working with that building energy, which is what you want, because you want to manifest something. So here's what I do for my new moon rituals. So number one is I find out exactly what degree the new moon will be in. So this new moon in Pisces is going to be at 1 degree 22 minutes in Pisces. So what I firstly do is I check out my natal chart to find out exactly where that degree is. So if you don't already have a natal chart, you can get one for free at astro.com or astro-charts.com, or simply Google it, free natal chart or free astrology chart or whatever. You will find many free sites where you can just easily pull up a chart and have a look at where all the stars and everything were at the time of your birth. So you'll want to find that exact degree, 1 degree, 22 minutes on your chart, in Pisces, that is. You want to find out exactly where that falls because you want to find out what house that's in. So there are 12 houses in astrology, and each of these houses represent a different area of our lives. So by finding out which one of those 12 houses the new moon falls in, then that will help you understand which area of your life is coming into focus with this new moon energy, which area of your life is having a new beginning with this new moon. Remembering that new moons are all about new beginnings and fresh starts. So wherever that new moon happens to fall on your chart, that's where that energy is. That's where you can expect to see a new beginning start to bloom in your life. So find out which house this new moon falls in. And if you're not sure what each of the houses mean, feel free to click through to the show notes and I'll have a handy guide available for you where you can download a handy reference chart to decode not only what all the houses mean, but also what all the 12 zodiac signs mean and all the planets as well. It's a very handy reference chart. So that's in the show notes below if you're like, I don't know what this means. All the answers are down there. So yeah, that's the first step. I always will find out exactly what house that new moon will be falling in. So 1 degree, 22 minutes at Pisces for me is in my 4th house. So 4th house is all to do with home and family life. So what that means for me, using my own chart as an example, is that with this new moon in Pisces, I'll be seeing a new beginning with that Pisces energy of creativity and with my dreams for a brighter future to do with my home and family life, which is actually really quite exciting for me because there's so much going on with that area of my life right now. So that's the first thing I do. I find out what house the new moon is in. So you can do that for any new moon, not just this new moon in Pisces. Find out the exact degree that the new moon is in and then find that on your chart to understand which area of your life will be in the spotlight for this new moon for you. So the second thing that I do is I check out the mundane transits that are happening with this new moon. So mundane transits are where the planets are in the sky right now, like what's going on up there, what connections are they making to each other. So on a new moon, the sun and moon are always going to be conjunct. That's what makes a new moon, is when the sun and moon align to the exact same degree. So you will always find that on a new moon. But sometimes there may be other planets. So often on a new moon, it may be quite close to Mercury or Venus because these two planets often are not very far away from the sun at any given time, only a few signs at most. So it's not uncommon to have Mercury or Venus quite close to a new moon. But as the planets go around the zodiac, there may be other planets that they come close to as well. So it's always interesting to check out what else is going on in the sky apart from this particular new moon. What other planets is this new moon kind of triggering, I guess? Like what other planetary energies are coming through with this new moon energy? So for this particular new moon in Pisces in 2023, it's quite close to Saturn. And I would say it's pretty much conjunct Saturn. So Saturn is at 28 degrees Aquarius on this new moon, and with the sun and moon being at 1 degree Pisces, they're close enough for the effects of Saturn to be felt with this new moon. So conjunctions, when they line up to like almost the same degree on the natal chart or on the astrology chart, those energies are blending. Conjunctions are just a blending of energy. So the energy of Saturn can be quite challenging or quite disciplined, quite controlling. So you'll find that with this new moon, and this will affect everyone because this is what's happening in the sky right now. This new moon energy will really spark that challenging energy of Saturn. So there will be a new beginning. We've got that new moon sparking a new beginning, but with Saturn in the mix, it could be a new beginning that really challenges you or makes you feel more disciplined toward your goals or forces you to step up and take control of a situation. So it's quite good energy. It's very hard-working energy where you may be feeling quite self-disciplined to push through and really do the hard work so you can manifest that dream. So that's just what's coming up with this new moon in Pisces. But as I said, you can apply this to any new moon that's coming up. So looking at whether there's other planets that are conjunct that new moon. So within, those, I usually say maybe 5 to 10 degrees for a conjunction. Seeing if there's any planets, that are conjunct the new moon, the sun and the moon, because that's the blending of energies. But you may also want to look at what other planets are maybe not in that same sign, but maybe they're opposite in the opposite sign. So for the new moon in Pisces, we'd be looking at any planets that are over in the first few degrees of Virgo for an opposition. But there is none at the moment. But oppositions are all about conflicting or polarizing energies. You can also look for other planets around, looking at, so this new moon is at 1 degrees Pisces. So you'll be looking at the rest of the planets, and if they're occurring around 1 degrees, then maybe figuring out what aspect they're making to the new moon to understand more about what sort of energy is coming up. And if that's too advanced, if I've lost you, don't worry too much. Let's just skip over to the next step. So you don't have to worry too much. But if you're more advanced into astrology and that's all making sense to you, it can be quite interesting to see what other planetary energies are coming up and how that's affecting this new moon. All right, so the third step that I do in my new moon manifestation ritual is I look at what natal transits are coming up with this new moon. So whether that's, maybe you have planets that are around 1 degree Pisces, where this new moon is occurring. So whatever planets you have there, they would be conjunct this new moon. You could also be looking at planets that are, like I said, in Virgo, in the opposite sign, where they would be causing an opposition to this new moon energy. And again, that opposition is about conflict or polarizing energies. So often when there is an opposition happening with the new moon, that planetary energy that's opposite the new moon is something that will need to come into balance with this new moon. Looking at if you have any planets around 1 degrees Gemini or Sagittarius, any planets that are around 1 degree Gemini or Sagittarius, these are going to be square this new moon in Pisces. So the square in astrology is about challenge. So those energies could really challenge you through this new moon. So looking at the other water signs, Scorpio and Cancer, looking at 1 degree there on your natal chart. If you have any natal planets at around 1 degree Cancer or 1 degree Scorpio, then those planetary energies are trine this new moon in Pisces. So trines are harmonious energy. The energy is flowing harmoniously between these planets. So it can be a very positive sort of aspect, a positive energy flowing through. And then looking at earth signs, Capricorn and Taurus, these will be forming a sextile to this new moon in Pisces. So looking at around 1 degree Capricorn or 1 degree Taurus to see if you have any natal planets there. They could be forming a sextile. And a sextile is quite an easy energy. It's again a positive aspect, and it creates opportunities if you work intentionally with that energy. Often sextiles are they're not what's the word? they're not felt as hard as some of those other harder aspects. They're quite softer, more subtle, but if you intentionally work with that energy, you can really tap into that positive energy and create opportunities for yourself. So that's the third thing I do. I look at natal transits. And if you're like wondering, okay, what does this all mean? I have no idea about how to read my own natal chart Again, don't forget you can check out that free astrology cheat sheet, that reference guide in my show notes below. That will give you all the info that you need to know to get started. And if you want to go deeper into what your natal chart means and what the upcoming new moon means for you, how to manifest with that energy, feel free to book in a reading with me. I do tarot and astrology readings, and I love looking at the lunations, looking at what's coming up for the next new moon for you or the next full moon. This is what really lights me up. So you can book a reading in the show notes below as well, where I will just look at your chart and tell you everything that you need to know rather than trying to get confused by reading it yourself. All right, so the fourth thing that I do in a new moon manifestation ritual, so by now you've looked at your chart, you know exactly what house this new moon is falling in, you know the mundane transits that are coming up, like where the rest of the planets are in the sky and how they're affecting this new moon. You've looked at your natal chart and sorted out what natal transits are coming up with this new moon, what planetary energy is being ignited by this new moon on your own natal chart. So the fourth step to do is to use this information to set your intentions and goals. So maybe you're picking up on some energy themes coming up with this new moon. Like maybe there's like a few different planetary energies that are coming up, maybe from your natal chart or just from the mundane transits or something, and you're seeing a bit of a theme. That could be a good sign that that's an area to focus on with your goals and intentions for this new moon. But also, what do you feel you want to manifest with this new moon? Don't ignore your feelings when you're setting your new moon intentions and goals. So as you've been working through like this astrological process and checking out, what's going on with your chart, what's going on with the planets and stars right now, you might be beginning to feel like, oh, this is something that I'd really like to manifest, or this is something that I'd really like to work on during this new moon cycle. Listening to your feelings, and even if it's maybe not something that's showing up on your chart, just go with it anyway, because your feelings are super important. So remember that when you're manifesting with a new moon, that the new moon is the beginning and the full moon is like the peak of that energy. But I'm not necessarily talking about the full moon that's 2 weeks after the new moon. So for me, when I'm looking at a moon cycle and talking about manifesting with the moon, I'm talking about setting your new moon intentions at, like, say, this new moon in Pisces, but you'll be working on these for about 6 months, and you should be seeing those goals and intentions manifest about 6 months later with the full moon in Pisces. So something to consider there. And the full moon in Pisces in 2023 is around the 30th or 31st of August in 2023. So something to keep in mind, that if you feel disappointed in a few weeks, like, oh, this moon manifesting stuff doesn't work, my manifestations didn't manifest, my intentions didn't manifest, just remember that it's a long-term game. Like, you can't expect things to happen overnight or happen in 2 weeks, especially if they're really big goals. Working with that energy of, okay, I'm going to set this intention now and I'm going to chip away at it over these next 6 months. I'm going to work with the universe, and in 6 months' time, I will have that manifest into my life. So I find that so much more helpful rather than trying to just manifest things in a really short time frame. It doesn't often happen like that. So you can use this exact same process with any new moon to understand exactly what energy to work with. So at the very least, finding out what house the new moon is in is so helpful, because that at least directs you into what area of your life is naturally coming up into your focus for this new moon. So if the rest of the stuff is just too confusing, like the mundane transits and the natal transits and all the aspects and all that, don't worry too much. If you can at least find out what house it's in, then that is a really positive step in understanding more about the astrological energies that are coming up for you for this new moon. And yeah, as you use this process in the future for every new moon. So don't forget that you can book a reading with me to understand exactly what's coming up for you for this new moon, for the next full moon, for any new moon, plus learn how to understand your natal chart and how to manifest your goals with ease. This is what I love doing. I love chatting to you about your natal chart and forecasting your future and telling you about the energies that are coming up. It's always so fun, and I always get such great feedback from my reading clients. I've been talking with some of my clients lately who I've done readings for in the past, and they've said like how accurate it was, like, you know, it's actually come true. And it's like, yeah, of course, like astrology is so accurate. But yeah, astrology is such a helpful tool. So if you do want a reading to understand more about yourself or more about how to manifest with the moon, to manifest the life that you truly desire using the moon cycle as your guide, you can book a reading through the link in my bio. And yeah, I'll help you manifest. I'll help you understand exactly what's coming up with the new moon, and yeah, whatever else you want to know. Alrighty, so happy new moon. I hope that you all have a wonderful new moon and manifest those goals and intentions that you truly desire. So if this episode was really helpful, don't forget to jump onto Instagram and comment or message me. Let me know if this was helpful for you. I always love hearing from you. If you've been listening to my podcast and you haven't reach out, because it just warms my heart so much when your messages pop into my inbox saying that you enjoyed a certain episode, and it helps me understand what episodes you want to hear more of in the future. How exciting. I can't wait. I've got some really cool episodes lined up for you guys too. I've been busy recording. So with that said, have a happy new moon and stay magical, stay manifesting, and stay tuned. I'll be back to talk to you really soon. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to the Moon Manifesting Podcast. If you're wanting more moon magic, check out my book, Moon Manifesting. Download your free Moon Manifesting calendar or connect with me on social media. You can do all of that at kyrahowearth.com.au. Stay magical, stay manifesting, and stay tuned. I'll speak with you in the next episode.